It's that time of the week again, footy nerds. Round 22 preview is coming at you hot this morning. Well, hot this morning for me, late there for Mitch over in France. How's me little mate going?
Good, brother. Another day.
What's happening?
A couple of days after. Went for a run just before. Did a little 7K run, which was good. And I actually came back, bro. This is weird. And I watched our 2010 highlights. You spoke the other week about watching footy highlights. And something popped up the other day. So I went back. I watched the Penrith 2010 semi-final. And I watched a game against Canberra earlier in the year. You were playing fullback.
Is that when I
was good.
Ran the length of the field on intercept of Dane Tills?
No, that was later in the year, I think, that game. That was in Canberra.
The home game.
I got knocked out. I was out cold. So it was funny, actually. I was watching it.
Put 10 hour runs through.
I was watching the difference in the rules. I got knocked out. I was out for about 5 minutes. They got up, rubbed my head, and I just kept playing. I was like, things have changed. I might have to go and knock on the door soon. That's why my brain's gone.
That explains the person we see today.
Goldfish memory.
The 10 goldfish.
What are we talking about again? I can't even remember what I just did before.
You're like, what's that? Dory out of fucking...
Dory out of
Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Well, that's a good movie. I'll tell you what I watched the other day talking about movies. Happy Gilmore 2.
Is it good?
Fuck, it was good. Yeah, it's hard to compare because when you get such high expectations from the first one, well, the first one was just GOAT. Yeah. It's the greatest. So, yeah, it was good. Heaps of stars pop up.
I haven't had a chance to watch any movies other than fucking Grizzly and the Lemons, Alvin and the Chipmunks, Paw Patrol. Mate, Susie gets back.
When's the wife home?
Tomorrow night. I can't wait. I had footy last night. The Canberra boys were on fire. Mate,
yeah.
I'm not just saying it because obviously I work there and I'm close to the boys. They're on fire. And I don't spend as much time as with other kids or other players. I do a little bit of stuff at the Titans, obviously, but from all grades from year 7 to year 12 yesterday, they all went really well. I think we had one loss, but our opens, there's some special talents, and I know there's a lot to go, and I wouldn't put pressure on any of them, but they're a great bunch of kids. They're a great bunch of men. The way they hold themselves, the way they're playing. They're in a really good spot.
So what are you doing there? Are you doing all the attack? What do? You just do all the skills? I've been there a couple of times with you, seeing what you do.
So the junior stuff, as you sort of would have seen before, I do a little bit of specific half stuff. During the season's hard because you sort of prepare to play to win. So a lot of the stuff's just around game plans for the younger boys. And then in the opens, there's obviously Peter Norman, who's the head of program. He's the head coach. William Pay, Sam Swift, and myself sort of do. Sam and William do the defense, and I do the attack with Peter Norman. So it's been really good. It's I'm really enjoying just. Obviously, I'm not there all the time, but just being around the group game day and stuff, and watching them put a plan in place and them executing it, and then letting them see that if you execute a plan, as we all know in footy, and you do it right, there's a reason why a plan's put in place, I guess. And they're getting the results. Got a really big game next Tuesday against PBC Old Boys Day. They're bogey team since I've been there, and they're probably for a while. PBC's been the sort of the cream of the crop. They've won the national title, state title last 2 years, I think it is. So hopefully our boys can turn up and get a win, and then the business season of the season starts. We start finals, so they've got the minor premiership as of last night, which is cool, but a long way to go.
Yeah, good.
Maybe the Rebel 360 will start coming for our boys. We've got a fullback, David Brighton would set the stage on fire. As we know, during the week, Ryan Pappenhausen admitted that he had a meeting in Melbourne with the R360. What are your thoughts on it?
So is the comp up and running yet? I'm still confused. Like as in,
I don't think. Nah, there's no.
contracted
I
up,
don't.
signed and delivered.
I think they're just trying to put wheels in motion. Obviously, if you start attracting players like Ryan Papenhuyzen and Kalen Ponga, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, and then obviously the likes of other players that they'd be talking to in international rugby, Fijian rugby, France, Japan, wherever, all the big names. Obviously, we wouldn't be hearing the rugby side of things. We're only hearing obviously the cream of our crop, the players that would create a headline in another code. And obviously, the news yesterday was Papenhuyzen had met with them about a deflection in 2027, which is still a while off to end of 2027. So obviously, that means he'd be off contract. But I think
crazy, eh?
Yeah, it is crazy. It's obviously, I don't know if it's scary for the game because we know what's coming through. There's superstars of the game. If they want to go try that, I would welcome it. It's one of those things that there will be another Ryan Papenhuyzen. There will be a player that will fall into those shoes. We've seen that at Melbourne anyway. Obviously, the big news out of Melbourne also this week, Jerome Hughes signed a 2030, which is a massive, massive push. Obviously, there's speculation and talk around Munster moving, or a potential move to Perth. They're happy to let it sort of unfold if it was only to Perth, which is I'm still unsure about because it's only still obviously speculation, but it's an interesting one. But I think Jerome Hughes is a great lock for him.
Yeah, it's huge news for them. Obviously, with the Pappenhausen thing, just to go on that before you go to Hughes, it's going to happen, isn't it? And players are going to get poached. But like you said, if it's only a certain amount of players, I think it's not a huge dent on the game. You want to keep all your superstars. The issue is going to be if they start to, a Pappenhausen becomes a success, gets all this huge money with minimal tax. Well, there's a fair chance he's going to have some soldiers behind him, isn't there, over the next few years? And then
domino effect.
Domino effect. And then how does the game compete with that? Well, does the game then have to raise the salary cap again, which is only a positive for the players? But then is it because the salary cap rises to then keep our players in the NRL, which the amount of money raised in the NRL and the game in Australia now is crazy, and it's only going to keep getting bigger with all the TV rights. So I think from a player point of view, it's a win-win. It's a win-win that they've now got even more options to explore. There's more pressure on the NRL, I suppose, to have to keep raising their game, and the players having to raise their game, which is healthy for everyone. And I mean, as an NRL fan and ex-player, we owe a lot to the game for being able to do what we love. But yeah, I suppose you're just going to keep making the product bigger and better for both parties.
You said about obviously for a player to deflect and go over and have success. What's success look like? Is it success in your bank account, or is it a second win in an R360 competition? Because I'm sure the eyes and the supporters and the fans in the R360 competition aren't like a passionate Melbourne fan. A kid's not going to wake up tomorrow in Australia and go, I'm going to dream to play for the R60, whatever the teams are called. Say they're called, just say the R60 Rebels, R360 Rebels. There's no kid in Australia tomorrow going to wake up and go, I want to play for R360 Rebels. They're going to wake up and say, I want to play for Queensland, I want to play for New South Wales, or I want to play for Australia, or play for an NRL team. So there's success for the players if they go there, and I'm all for going to fill your bank account up. But do you want to, obviously, Ryan Pappen has to say if he does deflect, and there's still a long way to go to 2027, does he do it because he's done enough in the game, or does he do it because it's time to go explore new options? And he's exploring new options is to go get money and capitalise on that. Happy days, I'd go do it too. But I guess the thing is when other players look at it from that point of view, I probably wouldn't leave unless I had success in my chosen sport, which is rugby league. to go there and get a quick buck for some players, it's probably the right thing to do because they may never have success in there. And what success look like? Obviously, it could be a number of games. Like I didn't win a grand final, I didn't win an Origin series, things like that, but I still had a successful career. It's about what success defines that and what you're happy to sort of go away from the chosen sport you've chosen to play from a younger age to leave it and walk away from it. It's not going to put a black mark on your name or the sport because these things happen every day. We've seen it happen, come and go, players leave and come back. A lot of players have left rugby league to go to rugby union and found their way back, which Roger did. Be experienced to play for the All Blacks, which is cool for him. But I think there's a long way for it to unfold.
Yeah, I love how you put it. Like clearly, every player's got their own purpose or how they see their careers, what they want to get out of it. I'm like you. I wanted to achieve everything I could in the game and get longevity, and that was my purpose, my journey. As you just said, you had the same goals. There's probably some players in the competition that aren't as, they might be more curious to go and experience different sports or challenges or chase money. You can't tarnish everyone with the same brush, but I'd like to think that majority of the players playing in the game have a similar attitude to what we had in the fact, and millions
I'm sure
others.
They do.
Exactly, sure yeah, and that's achieving as much as they can in the game, and not just chasing money. But like we said, there's going to be appeal for some guys, potentially older guys that have done all what they feel like they've wanted to achieve, and then they've gone at the back end of their career for a new challenge, maybe a paycheck, or guys that are younger that are maybe struggling to get consistent NRL starts or performances, but they've got like lightning speed that suit the game in Saudi. All of a sudden, they're going to take an opportunity. So, yeah, I think it depends on the individuals. But we've had these lures before, like Japan Rugby's come out, Sonny and Joe Manu's gone there now, and I can't think of any more names off the top of my head, but there's been many, many players that have gone and taken the challenge of South of France Rugby Union or Japan Rugby. It was a loss at the time and big names, Sonny for an example, and he ended up coming back to the game. But everyone's on their own journey. So I don't think for the whole game it's a massive threat. I don't think there's going to be players that are going to jump, the seasoned players, until they do everything they want to do in the game. I can't see them going over to sacrifice an NRL career or a premiership or an Origin or an Australian or Test jersey early in their career. But everyone's different, aren't they?
Oh, and so true. They're rightly to defect and do what they want. At the end of the day, it's, as you said, it's healthy for the game because it drives players to succeed, obviously, over here and then demand more money. Obviously, the game will have to continue to grow. I guess when we're talking about the game continuing to grow, which is a good topic to talk about, is around the eligibility of Origin, which is Origin's been in the game of rugby league for many, many moons now. To go change it because they want to strengthen Origin, or is it to change it just to get more eyes on the game? What are your thoughts on the whole eligibility thing? Like I've listened to opinions of a fair few people, and I'm not just jumping on this guy's side because I've played with him and I speak so highly about him, but I'm with Gal. The way he speaks about it, I just think it's the game. The Origin's been around for so long; it's been built on that. Why change it now?
I think I agree.
To clarify, Toddy, what is Gal's opinion? Like, what is the opinion that you're agreeing with?
Well, Gal's opinion is that he's not happy with the guys going to have played for Australia, now deciding, okay, I want to go play for Tonga or the Heritage, which is fine. I'm all good for that. But if you decide to go do that, I think then you need to give your New South Wales or Queensland jumper over.
There's a part of me that agrees with Gal from an old school point of view of how we saw Origin and how what Origin meant to us when we were playing and the way we grew up watching it. But then I also see the other side now in the fact that the amount of Islanders playing the game, the whole game is changing. And I think the decision, just first I've heard of it, when it came out in the media, the first I thought was the fact that If there's that many Islanders coming into the game, do we shut the gate and keep it how it was and restrict losing our best players in the Origin arena, or do we grow with the way the game is and the way the world's going, which is opening up the floodgates to allow them to do both? I think I can see from the Origin product, keeping as many as the best players in the game as we can, if that is allowing them to go and play for their chosen country and come back and still deliver for New South Wales, if they're born and raised in New South Wales or Queensland, I don't have a problem with it, because I think times have changed. From, as I said, from an old school mentality coming through, there wasn't the same amount of opportunities to go and play for your other countries, or probably the same amount of Islanders or Indigenous players that are coming into the game that there is now. I think it's like 60 or 70%, if I'm right. I have to
the percentage of Islanders, but it's Polynesians,
it's massive.
Yeah. So I think the
game is massive. The game survives off it.
So I think the open-mindedness to grow with it is what we probably have to do, I reckon. Like the fact that otherwise you're going to lose the best players and the product of Origin is not going to be as good. As I said before, they have to be born and raised in New South Wales and Queensland. I think that is the rule anyway. And then if they want to go back to their heritage after, I don't think we should restrict them. Because otherwise it's going to be I think the Origin's going to suffer in the end. In the next 5 years, if it keeps going how it's going, I think the New South Wales Queensland battle might start to suffer. We're not going to see the best players playing.
Well, yeah, there's the best players.
And then, for an example, you get a guy like Victor. You get a guy like Victor Radley, who we spoke about before, who born in Clovelly, New South Wales player, and then goes and plays for England. Should he be restricted from playing for New South Wales if he's born and raised there, just because he chooses to play for a different country of heritage? I don't know. It's an argument. I'm just going in my head while I'm talking.
Yeah. So it's I don't mind it. I don't mind it evolving now with the way the times. Now when you talk about, it's with the way the times are, and then obviously we've seen what the Samoan Tonga team looks like to what the Australian teams look like. There's talk and speculation that our chosen sport, where the biggest part of our rugby league is not born, but it's probably the biggest in Australia. And they're saying that we could be like other places where other nations are the powerhouse. Do you believe other nations will start to beat Australia now if they defect, because blokes like Tino, Payne Haas, we won't have them. The Hammer, those kinds of players will now not feature in an Australian team. Do we have enough born talent here that want to represent Australia in years to come to show that we're a powerhouse?
Yeah. When you said that, I think it's great for the international game. The fact that we spread the talent pool, and that's where they're from. So
I'm agree with that.
From an international point of view, I'm all for it. I think it's great. And to answer your question, do we have enough in our own country? 100% we do. We've got 3 or 4 string players in each position, majority of the time. Maybe we can go into that next show and actually go for plan B, plan C, plan D Australian team. Might be a bit of fun on this one of these shows, just to go off and see how good our depth is. But off the top of my head, we've got a lot of depth in all our positions. So from an Australian-raised rep team, I think we're always going to be good. But I think it's great for the Tongan, Samoan, Kiwi sides.
I think it puts pressure on Australia.
It's only going to help the game. Hey?
Yeah.
I think it puts pressure on Australia because you just spoke about it. Well, you just spoke about the Polynesian Pacific nations influx in the game, so around 60%.
It was
a lot of those
52%.
A lot of those players are going to choose to play for their heritage when the time comes, if they go on to make it. Like I just was speaking about our keeper team.
Good thing.
A lot of them are Island Polynesian heritage, Samoa, Tonga, New Zealand. So a lot of those kids, if obviously a percentage of them won't make it, but a percentage that do, then will have a choice to play for those nations.
Which is a good thing. If that's who they are, I'm all for it. We've just got to produce and be better with what we've got, who are born and raised and want to play for For Australia, I think it's a positive all around. Like that's what I said. I think the question you said was, would we still compete? Would we still have enough players? I reckon 100% we would. It'll even it out, but I reckon Australia's still always going to be producing enough players to compete. Will Tonga and Samoa be better?
At some point, doesn't
for sure. Which is good, I think. You go and look at rugby union worldwide.
Well, New Zealand suffer
There's
then.
4 or 5 teams that can win. New Zealand
then suffer.
I think New Zealand with the Samoan and Tongan heritage and a lot of the Kiwi boys, who they choose will be a big difference for those teams for sure. For a New Zealand side, you'll end up seeing a big drop off in New Zealand potentially for a lot of those players that have got Samoan or Tongan heritage, which is a lot of them, isn't it?
Yeah, well, listen, obviously Isaiah Katoa on Mansour's podcast. He was talking about his dream to win a World Cup for Tonga. One day represent the Cook Islands for his mum's heritage, but also play for New South Wales. So, that's when I hear stuff like that, I agree with. I like it because I want to see Isaiah Katoa in the Origin stage, and I'd love to see him in a green and gold jumper. But if that's where it's at, I think it's at the end of the day the game grows and it's going to continue to grow. And the guys that are pushing that, obviously Abdo and Volandi's the guys that are making our sport so strong and trying to change it, bring more eyes on it, create more money, create more revenue, things like that. I think if you look at it that way, it's a positive. But then I'd love to hear some of the, obviously listen to Gal's opinion. I'd love to hear some of the opinions of the old times, the Mortimers and stuff like that, what their opinions of it are. The originals, the GOATs, the OGs, the ones that had the biff in the middle of the field, the Chief Harrigans and players like that.
100%, it'd be good to hear their opinion. You'd think it'd probably be old school and stick to the roots, wouldn't it, from a lot of it? As I said, I think the same. I'm pretty sure you do as well. There's still a part of me that wishes it was, you don't want to change a product that's been unbelievable for however long. But I also see the benefit of keeping the best players in the arena. And if that's allowing a little bit of leeway with the way times have changed, it's not the 1980s or 70s anymore, not even the early 2000s. Things have changed, and I think you've got to evolve with it.
Boys, can I ask you something off the back of this? In my opinion, I don't know if you boys feel the same way, but it seems to be that the most sought after jersey these days is the State of Origin jersey. It's the biggest spectacle. Is this a way to put a bit more fire in the international jersey? Like, is this a way to kind of maybe make international representation surpass State of Origin?
I don't know if it's to be to make people pick or choose what they like more. No, I think it's purely just the fact of the way the game's growing. Okay. I just keep saying it. The fact that we've got so many more Polynesian and other countries that are coming into our game now that we need to open the door.
Origin's the biggest spectacle for eyes and entertainment, Gabe. But as far as I think as a player pulling on a New South Wales or Queensland jumper to equivalent to an Australian jumper or winning a World Cup or players like that, I think if you ask players to talk about what they would want more or what jumper they want to, if as kids you write goals, like on the top of the list, the final piece of every puzzle is an Australian jumper. And I don't think that changes for blokes that want to play for Australia or blokes that want to play for Tonga, New Zealand, England, whatever. That's the final piece of the puzzle. Some blokes don't get the luxury of playing for New South Wales or Queensland because they're not born here and they're not eligible to be picked. But the blokes that are eligible to be picked for New South Wales, Queensland and Australia or Tonga, however you want to look at it, the final piece of the puzzle I know for me was on the end of your goal list is to play for your country, the place where you're born. Obviously, then your state comes in. Obviously, then when Queensland talk about we don't get it, but also the people that say that we don't get it, they haven't put on a blue jumper either. But it's a great question.
Yeah, it's just I mean, it's nice to know how you feel about it. And again, complete outsider, not a player, but I get the impression that some peoples would rather represent their state. But again, what do I know? Do you feel the same as Toddy, Mitch? Would you think that more people would want to represent their country than their state? Australians?
Yeah, I think it's all an individual thing, and like Toddy said, it's depending on your journey. And I never played for Australia. I got picked in 14, and then I didn't get picked in the squad. I was in the squad, sorry, and they took Benny Hunt. So I never played for Australia, which, to be honest, it's a regret. It's a massive regret. I was close in 16. Went on the squad to Papua New Guinea, and then ended up taking another player on a utility role. I was always in that 7. So yeah, so that's something that kills me, to be honest. Like, if you're talking about different experiences, I got to play lots for New South Wales, but for me, that was something that, even to this day, you have different regrets. That's something that sort of hurts me a bit. Not hurts me, but I would have loved to do that. So my experience is different. I would have held that above it, but that was my journey. But everyone's is different, I suppose. So, as we said earlier, when we were talking about the Saudi Arabia competition, you can't, everyone's got their own, what they want to get out of life. Not everyone loves footy and wants to play for their country in New South Wales. Some people play for money to provide for their family. Some players play to achieve everything they can and play for as long as they can. Others want to win a comp and then go to a different code. You can't tarnish everyone with the same brush. But from wrap up of the international game, I think we've got to keep evolving with the game. I'm pretty sure that's probably what the NRL's thinking.
All right, guys, just before I lead us into round 22, cheddar updates. So Mitch with the Warriors lost, and Toddy with the Manly going for the underdogs also lost, which leaves Mitch in the lead 16-14. Let's see if we can change that up this week. But game 1, round 22, Storm versus Parramatta Eels. The key ins for the Storm. Obviously, Jerome Hughes goes down. Wishart comes into halfback. Jonah Pezzett goes into the interchange for the Storm as well. And Tua Kamakamika is playing lock. And as for Parramatta, there's no notable changes from round 21.
I like what Parra done against the Broncos last weekend. But I'm going to go Melbourne. I think Melbourne get the job done just because they got too much strike power across the park. The way Harry Grant finished the game against the Roosters last weekend, I think they'll stick to that. They'll play probably more dominant through the middle with Hughes out. Wishart will do a great job. He always does when he comes in. Obviously, Munster's back, Pappenhausen are back. It strengthens their team up really well. I think Parra will be in the fight, but I just think Melbourne will have too much firepower across the park and then just strength through the middle. But it'll be a tight one early. I think Melbourne can run away with it.
I'm going to go Parra. Just going to go Parra because of Mitch Moses, the way he played last week. They were unbelievable last week. It was the surge in their defence, their kick chase, all those little things that have just sort of been lacklustre for the majority of the year. Just came alive last week, and it was just the way Mitch was whipping the horse. He was just behind him, screaming, yelling, driving the kick chase, painting the picture for the sets. I honestly think there could be an upset. With those guys out, with Jerome out, especially, I reckon Mitch will be there licking his lips this week going, fuck, how good's this? I get to go down there as the underdog. If I can kick how I kick, getting 50, 60 metres on every kick and box kicking the fuck out of Melbourne, and rallying the boys up, I reckon they're a chance. That's how I see it.
What do you make of his halves partner, Dean Hawkins? We didn't really get into it like when we were reviewing the game. Is he doing his job perfectly to let Mitch do what he needs to do?
I thought Dean Hawkins has been really good this year. I haven't been a fan of Dean Hawkins previously when he's filled in at South. I thought in New South Wales Cup form is really good, but I thought when he comes up, he sort of goes away from his natural game. But I believe since he's been at Parra, when he's filled in for Mitchell this year, and then now he's in with Mitchell, I think his game's evolved. I think he's a more confident player, and I think his Rolsey or whatever they're doing there at Parra has developed him into a solid first grader. I thought he was just cover for a while, but obviously they're showing that they like him. Obviously, he's keeping Dylan Brown out because obviously Dylan Brown's eggs in at the end of the year. But their future they're looking at next year is obviously Papali, the fullback, at 6 maybe, but he's obviously gone to 1 because Yongi's out. I thought he was really good last week, Papali at the back. He's a live wire. So I think they're all going really well. And you can't argue with Mitch saying that Para can win because what they done last weekend. I just believe Melbourne's a different outfit than the Brisbane Broncos.
All right, game 2. Warriors versus Dolphins. Key ins for the Dolphins. Cody Nikorima returns into the halves. Felice Kafusi is back, and Mark Nichols also back. And ins for the Warriors. Tiedemann Martin promoted into the halves, and outs obviously James Fisher-Harris, Wade Egan, and Chance Harris Tavita. Who are you tipping this?
I'm going Dolphins.
Stadium?
I'm going Dolphins. I think Wade Egan's a huge out. Fisher Harris is a big out.
Yeah, I think Dolphins. Tavita Harris is a big out. I thought with the Warriors a few weeks ago when they had that first game back with Tanner Boyd, they were really good. They scraped the win against Newcastle the following week. Halasimi just obviously stole the show in that final minute of the game. And then they were poor last weekend. A Dolphins team chasing the top 8, were just sitting in the top 8, would be too strong for them. And just those outs is a massive one, a massive loss for me. One Egan, one Chance, Tavita Harris, and then obviously they go front row Fisher Harris. I think Dolphins and Dolphins by plenty.
They can score more points, can't they? The Dolphins, they play more footy. Keep talking about how they're best team in the comp, top 2 teams in the comp at attacking from midfield. And I reckon that the last team that did that, a few teams that have done that against Warriors, I think Penrith played that style a few weeks ago when they pulled their pants down. A few teams that have done it, the Warriors have had some joy, especially on that right edge. Spoke about it last week, Tanner Boyd, Capewell and DWZ. They had a bit of vulnerability. I reckon Katoa and Nikorima are going to go attack that edge big time this week.
Third game coming up at Suncorp. We got the Brisbane Broncos up against my South Sydney Rabbitohs. Ins for Broncos, Cobbo and Dean Mariner returning. Outs, Jesse Arthurs and Caprapani. Sorry, mate, if I've butchered your name there. Souths, they currently have Jack White listed as in, name pending due to the judiciary outcome. And Tavita Totola and Lewis Dodds also out. But he could obviously very well come in if Jack White isn't named.
Yeah, Broncos is my cheddar.
Broncos.
I think Broncos will be too good here. Just too strong. Love what they're doing. Last week, obviously, come down to the wire and weren't able to get the job done. But, yeah, I think they'll bounce back this week. I think they'll be too big, too strong. And looking forward to seeing how well she bounces back this week. He had a bit of a mixed bag last week, did plenty of good things. I'm keen to see some consistency from him over the next 6 weeks. Because he's the difference, eh? He's the difference with the...
Well, he's their star power. He's their go-getter. He's their player that, well, arguably took him to a grand final, but was a big part of them going to a grand final 2 years ago. I think people forget that. They forget the games he's won from a lot of people. And then they criticise him for the games that not so much lost, but the errors he comes up with. I was listening to Darren Lockyer speak about him yesterday, and I thought it would, for Walsh, it will come across really good, the things that he needs to do. But for me, I think the Broncos...
What do you say, Toddy?
They'll bounce back. Just saying, like, he just needs to watch some current fullbacks about how they bring the ball back into line. And he has to have a run-first mentality. The big play doesn't always have to come off him. Just pretty much what everyone sort of echoes, but also Reece Walsh is Reece Walsh because the things he does that some people can't do. So you can't, if you take that away from him, he takes a big chunk of his game. But for me, the Broncos win. I think South are just treading water to the end of the season. Obviously, swapping and changing. Obviously, Jack Whiten will probably be out, so Lewis Dodd will form the partnership with Humphries. Will come back in there. But yeah, I think they'll be well underdone, and the Broncos will bounce back from a disappointing loss at home against Parramatta last weekend. I'll be calling this game live too, so listen in.
Would Rabbitohs just have to do what the Eels managed to do, obviously with a much more depleted team, but they just have to drag the Broncos into the fight if they're a shot? What could they do?
Postpone the game.
The Gold Coast Titans versus Penrith Panthers, Seabus Super Stadium, and I don't have any specifics out listed in this game.
Panthers all day, they're firing 8 in a row, just warming to the occasion. I thought Titans were way better last weekend. Obviously, coming up against a Penrith team that's firing at the moment. Obviously, they're coming up here to the glitter strip, so they may have their jeans packed before their footy boots. But I don't think it will play a part. I think they'll be still having they'll have their jeans on Saturday night out.
How bad is it when you just get a cork before you go to the Gold Coast to the Cowboys? You go, 5 minutes to go get a cork. Trainer says you can't drink. You just wouldn't tell them, and then you'd say that you fell over at home in the bath or something on the Monday. I had a funny story. About that just to lighten it up. It was when we were in 2011 when we were playing together. I was with a couple of the boys. It was a boat cruise. It was some boat cruise, and I was dancing. I was blind. Rolled my ankle. I didn't say anything, and then on the Monday, about 10 minutes into the first drill, fuck, my ankle's gone. It was like black before the training session. They've gone, fuck, it's gone black quickly. Yeah, mate. Fell in a divot about 5 minutes ago. It was about 72 hours before in Darling Harbour.
That's gone.
But yeah, I think Penrith will be way too good up there. I mean, Titans, I think, are at that point. Like last week, they've got an upset in them. And I like the way they moved the ball last week. Obviously, we spoke about Kieran's pass, but even Campbell had a couple of great passes there to Jojo Fafita a couple of times. So there was some good ball movement, but I just think Penrith will be just too brutal. I don't think Titans have got the defence to maintain it or the players to hang in there in that arm wrestle. Looking forward to watching Penrith, though, obviously, with a bit more detail instead of just saying we want to see them win. I'm looking forward to just keep seeing those combos improve. And I thought Smith last week was outstanding in the middle, playing off Yowie. Blaze Talangi's starting to find his groove there, as we said on the review show. So I'm keen to see where Nath takes this team.
Well, the players that were finding their feet at the start of the year, like McLean, Jenkins, they're in their groove now. They understand the system, when the ball's coming to them, where they need to be, what play they need to come up with. Obviously, the orchestra is Nathan. But then the pieces of the puzzle are starting to fall together. Obviously, Isaiah Yeo, he's the sort of link in the middle, but they're just becoming dangerous because everything's starting to flow. They're in sync with everything, where games at the start of the year, the pass was a little bit behind or a little bit in front, or the player just wasn't there in the right time. If he was, they probably would have scored and they would have lost some of those games. But now everything's in sync. They're timing the run perfectly.
Our next game on Saturday, Wynn Stadium, St. George Dragons up against the Canberra Raiders. Dragons ins, they got Haim Selly to the bench. Sorry, mate, if that's not your name. And out is Jaden Sewer. And Michael Molo is moving into playing where he was in the second row.
Who's out for the other mob, sorry?
Yeah, their squad stays the same. No,
Raiders for me.
Yep.
Yeah, Raiders.
Raiders for me. Wynn Stadium. Be windy, wet. Not windy and yuck. It's just
the talk toddy around here. I saw Braith pop up about. He's obviously his manager. I think it was a good little topic just before you go into detail about Canberra. He's talking about. I think the reserve grade teams won 10 out of 11 games. And there was chat that they didn't pick Ilias because of the last loss. So there's obviously just talk and all around Kyle and that type of stuff. I just thought it was worth bringing it up. There was a fair debate on NRL 360, I think it was. Thoughts?
Yeah, I've seen that a few times. He's not going to pick him if he's not picking him now, is he?
No.
It's a bit like the Lewis Dodd situation.
If Ilias leaves, for example, fast forward in the tape, we talk about clubs needing halves. Ilias is not going to stay there if he's not going to get a start. Is he benefited at another club? Like, is he doing any different to what Flanagan would be doing there if he's running the ship? From my point of view, I don't think
we don't see.
Yeah, from my point of view, what I've seen of him, I don't think all the pressure on him leading the team play for player week to week is where he's at the moment. But yeah, who knows? He could have evolved in reserve grade and he might be ready to go. But
yeah, reserve grade's a lot harder than first grade, a lot easier than first grade.
Isn't that true?
Well, it's so true. It's not a knock on the game either, but there's so much a jump. It's a massive jump. Yeah, Canberra would be way too good. Their points come from their back five. Their power's through the middle. Hudson Young, obviously Papali, Tarpany, and then when their nines come on, Starling, Owen, Paddy, they just cause havoc. They've got levels. Where Raiders used to have strength in different areas and they'd have power game, they'd have some fast outside backs, but they've got every piece to the puzzle at the moment and they're all firing on cylinders. So if Paddy starts, Starling comes on, tears the middle up. If Starling starts, Owen Paddy comes on, kicks early, changes the momentum of the game, not by his running game, by his kicking game or the way he rolls the ruck. And then obviously you've got their front rowers, Papali, Big Horsburgh, Tarpany, they're their muscle, and then you got your Ferraris out the back. They finish all their plays. Timoko, Sebastian Crisper's back this week, and then their fullback is in career best form. He's dangerous from all parts of the field. If you put a weak kick chase on him, he'll break through and score once he's in the back. And to be fair, anyone in the Raiders' back five, once they're in the backfield, it's see you later, lights out. You can't stop them.
It is like that, eh?
I remember
half an opportunity, they're gone.
Sorry, Mitch. I was saying last episode you said that you one of the Raiders' edges. You said you think you might have saw some opportunity for teams to score against. I think you said maybe Fogarty's edge was a
Fogarty, Timoko.
Defense. Do you think that's where the Dragons will go?
Oh, they're a pretty complete side at
Dragons
the moment.
Will throw punches at them. Dragons will throw punches and they'll score a try here and there.
The Knights targeted that edge last week and they're a great side. When you're on the top of the ladder and your defence and attack's flowing, there's not many weaknesses, but every team's got deficiencies in some ways. And I saw a couple of games I've watched where if I was to target one side, it would be that edge. Fogarty, if I was playing an attack, Fogarty, Timoko, and Savage. At times, they can be a little bit passive, and that edge for the Dragons is their best edge. They've sort of opened their game up a little bit more, but what we were seeing at the start of the year with Holmes, Gutho, and Lilia on that left edge was dynamite. So, look, I think Canberra's going to have a field day, but if Dragons were to pull their pants down, I think that's the side that they'll get the joy.
Our next game, we've got the Manly Sea Eagles coming up against Sydney Roosters, 4 Pines Park. Manly get another home game. And the ins for Manly are Corey Waddell and Tommy Talau to the interchange, and obviously a big out with Hamole, Olakawatu. Then the ins for the Roosters, Hugo Savala comes into 6, Billy Smith playing centre, and outs are Sandon Smith and Tom Rodwell.
I'm going to go the Roosters.
Yeah, I'm going Roosters. Just a quick shout out. Chaddy Townsend, Toddy can go on it. He obviously played with him, but played against Chad. Just announced his retirement. Does his podcast. Looks like he's going to be flying into retirement. Does great things in the media. So congratulations, Chaddy. I always enjoyed playing against you. You're always a great competitor, an elite halfback for a long time. Played a hell of a lot of games, won a comp, mate, and always seemed like a champion guy. So congratulations on your career. But yeah, I think the Roosters this week are going to be too good. Sorry, you go.
I want to echo that too, Chatty. Well done on a great career, buddy. Got to spend a bit of time with her at Cronulla when you're coming through. Always, obviously, a great kid. Obviously, competitor. You went on to do some great things in the game. And as Mitch said, you'll be flying in post rugby league. Hats off to you for an amazing career, buddy. So well done. And for me, my cheddar of the week is the Roosters.
You just make that up? Are you thinking about it? Okay.
No, because they're the underdogs, and it's 3 points, and I'll beat you.
Tell us why they're your cheddar. Why do you think?
Because I need to do something. I can't choose favourites.
You're just backing an underdog.
They're the tightest underdog.
Are they favourites here though?
They're not favourites.
On paper, they're not. They're not far off.
So that's why I'm taking them.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. I feel like it's pretty even this game. If I was to go on track
that's
record.
why I'm taking them.
I know.
I'm telling you, this is why I'm taking them. Like they're the closest. It's not right or wrong. Like you just take clear favourites. You only take clear favourites.
Not every time, mate. Not every week I've taken clear favourites. There's been times when I've taken the risk and got the results, and that's why I'm on top, bruh.
Yeah. Massive.
Hugo Savala's a big in, long length of kicking game. I think he'll be close to man of the match, coming back with Sam Walker. Keen to watch that. Excited to watch them two together.
All right, our next game here, coming in Sunday, Combank Stadium. You got West Tigers versus Bulldogs. Big in back for the Tigers. Jerome Buller is back. And for the Bulldogs, Carraz goes into fullback because Connor Tracy is out.
This will be a tight contest. Like I always say, with the Tigers, they'll be in the fight early. I think they'll cause some trouble in some parts of it early on. I think the Dogs will be too strong. Carraz at the back will have plenty of carries. He'll run over 250 metres. He'll be in everything, Carraz. I think they just get the job done because they're probably better the team. They're way better team at the moment. A bit like the Bunnies. I think they'll always put up a fight, the Tigers, but they'll be too strong, the Doggies.
Excited to watch the Dogs. Like you spoke about it last game about, I think clearly they're the winners this game, but I'm excited to watch. We keep harping about it, but the puzzle bit with Galvin and Burton, and we spoke last week on the left how he skips overs a bit more. On the right, he plays more square. It's just good. We love halves. I love watching the evolution of him. He's young, so much torque, pressure. So I'm excited to watch how that puzzle keeps getting put together. How well that puzzle gets put together is how much closer they get to holding up the trophy. So it's exciting. Some teams you just love watching, Dotty, you know, like we watch every game, but there's some games I just love watching more. And the Dogs right now, I'm there with my popcorn, frozen Coke, ready to go, bro. It was just the style. I think last week, I'll tell you the best thing about watching them. And it's like when the Broncos are on with the size of their centres, with Stags. I just love watching teams with big centres. And there's none better than what's Crichton and I was at my brother.
Bronson Sherry.
Bronson Sherry's
new nose got broken on the weekend. That was just
the head's gone from that 2010 knockout game.
Yeah.
Right?
Kick out, sorry, not Carraz.
Kick out's foot, breaking Bronson Sherry's new nose.
Tigers, where's their points come?
Did
you say they've named Dewey at half? Is Dewey in the halves to start? Because obviously changed him.
Jerome Buller.
Far now to lock.
Jerome Buller's their point.
Nah, yeah, Fanu 7, Luai 6, and then fullback Jerome Buller.
I reckon it'll be tighter than what people think this game. Well, just because their fullback's back, Jerome Buller. I reckon they'll play some footy. The shackles will come off. I reckon they'll play expansive style of footy against the Dogs.
Last game of footy for the weekend at Shark Park, Cronulla versus North Queensland Cowboys. Ins for Cronulla, you got Nicker returning and Talakai returning. Toby Rudolph out after a huge head collision. And for the Cowboys, Jake Clifford back into halfback again. So
did you say
chopping and changing that one?
Fuck. Did you say it was at Shark Park?
I did say that, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go for Cowboys. Just weekend of controversial tipping. I feel like Cronulla's just, they don't give me any confidence. And I know last week,
I'm going
2
Sharks.
weeks ago, I'm going Sharks because it's at Shark Park. I was going to say if it was in Townsville, I would have gone Cowboys. That's how close I think it is. I just think Sharks just can't put the foot on the throat. And I want to see it. I want them to do well. Last week, they stop, start. You know, South nearly pulled off a miracle in the end to win a game. And then we've seen this too often. So going for the Sharks, and I want to see the foot on the throat for 80 minutes with a huge result. But if you give the Cowboys a sniff...
I think the Sharks win because it's Shark Park. They'll have a sniff early. I think the Sharks will be too strong. Obviously, it's a tough task going to Shark Park at any time. But at the back end, I reckon the Sharks, even though they've had some up and down performances, still continued to win. Interesting thing coming out of the Cowboys this week was Jake Clifford re-signs with the club. And Tom Duffy looks like going to the Brisbane Broncos, which is an interesting one because at the start of the year, Duffy was their first choice in the 7. Dearden was 6. Obviously, they moved Dearden to 7. They've been swapping and changing. Purdue 7, Purdue 6, Purdue centre. Duffy comes in. Dearden goes back to 6, but they've moved Cliff back to 6 this weekend. So it shows that they're probably planning for him for the future of the club in the number 6 jumper if they're letting Duffy go, which a player they had big raps on. And they see the Broncos see him as a succession. The plan after Renault pulls the boots up. But yeah, I think Sharks win. I think they'll be in for a fight the Cowboys early, but Nico Hines and it's Old Boys Day at Cronulla on Sunday afternoon also.
So lock them in then.
Ready for that.
Cronulla by 50.
Lock them in. Well, footy nerds, bipolar's kicked in. Head noises kicked in, so we better get away.
Great topics today. International footy, state of origin, my cheddar, the Broncos. Go the Broncos.
The Roosters will be my cheddar, but round 22, done and dusted. We love yous and see yous all next week. Have a great weekend of footy. Love yous.